Hello there, time for sports here on News Prime. My name is Hans Mensah Ando, and government has taken steps to dissolve the Ghana Football Association after a private investigative company, Tiger IPI, documented rampant bribery and corruption in the game. So government, of course, has issued a statement, and government says it is shocked and outraged that the content of the recently aired video documentary which captures the investigation conducted into football administration by the journalist Anas Arimeyao Anas. Of course, that premiered yesterday. It goes on to say the conduct of all officials of the GFA, together with that of the suspended acting director general of the National Sports Authority, Robert Safo Mensah, shown in the documentary to be involved in questionable, potentially criminal act, is forthwith referred to the police for further investigation and appropriate action. Having regard to the widespread nature of the apparent rot involving top GFA officials, top NSA officials, match commissioners, football administrators and referees, government has decided to take immediate steps to have the GFA dissolved. So that, of course, is coming in from the Information Ministry. Right, so earlier on, my colleague, of course, he is with Joy News, Evans Mensah, spoke to the government spokesperson on governance and legal affairs, Herbert Cropper. He says government is following the legal processes to have the Ghana Football Association dissolved.
That the GFA is a company limited by guarantee, and therefore the government would take the necessary steps acting according to the law to ensure that the Registrar General removes the Ghana Football Association from the list of companies.
Okay, so those are the steps you refer to?
Yes.
Okay, so till the point is that you, as we speak right now, the GFA hasn't been dissolved, but you are following the legal processes to have it dissolved.
Absolutely. We have to follow the legal processes to ensure that the appropriate thing is done, the right thing is done, and therefore we are in the process of having the GFA dissolved by law.
However, Minister for Youth and Sports, Honorable Isaac Esiama, seemed to contradict Mr. Cropper in confirming the Ghana Football Association has been dissolved. He also spoke to Joy News' Evans Mensah earlier.
Well, I mean, the GFA stands dissolved now. It's dissolved. So, it's dissolved. That is the meaning of that. It's dissolved. So, he's under investigation. This statement, all other officials from ESCO, Executive Committee, officials from GFA, who are also implicated, would also be, of course, dealt with according to due process of law. We are also saying that this is not going to be permanent. Government is making arrangements to have audience with CAF and, of course, FIFA to ensure that this is the result as soon as possible. But as I said, we are going to involve stakeholders, sit down with them and plan properly. We are not going to do any imposition. We are going to sit down quietly with all club owners and other stakeholders to ensure that indeed we can now run around.
What happens to the league now that the GFA is...
FA is dissolved, all structures, all programs are all dissolved. I mean, that is the implication.
So the league...
So the league is suspended. The league is suspended. When we say the FA is dissolved, all other activities, programs, they are all suspended, or they are dissolved for now until further notice. Understand? So we are going to put in place measures to ensure that we get in touch with CAF and then FIFA to have a dialogue, a discourse with them to get this normalcy in place. So that will happen. But for now, all activities, all functions, all programs of the FA stand dissolved.
And Ghana, the Black Stars, they have a friendly tonight in Iceland. What happens to that?
Well, as I said, all activities, all programs, they are all dissolved. That is the implication of that.
So that game coming off or has been cancelled?
No, please, the implication of what I said is that all activities, they have all been dissolved. So if it's about any FIFA sanction program, CAF sanction program, they have all been dissolved. That's the implication of my statement.
That's the Minister for Youth and Sports, Honorable Isaac Esiama. He seemed to contradict the communication sent out by government earlier to the effect that it was taking steps to dissolve the Ghana Football Association, made reference to that Black Stars game against Iceland and implying that once the FA had been dissolved, all activities of the FA stood dissolved. But I can tell you that the Black Stars are currently in action, as you can see on your screens, against Iceland in that international friendly. 31 minutes of the action done, and Ghana down by 1-0. In the studio with me, my colleague Benedict Owusu-Dankwa will be gauging the implications of the GFA's dissolution if and when it does take effect. So, Benedict, what are the possible implications if the Ghana Football Association is dissolved?
Well, the government communique says they are taking steps.
Okay.
And if
so,
indeed,
we go by that, obviously.
Yeah. So if indeed it takes effect that they dissolve the Football Association, what it means is that competitions that we are to participate in and things that are related to CAF and FIFA all will be out.
Okay.
So what it means is that, you know, Indiana Stars are playing the CAF Confederation Cup.
Right.
If it takes effect, Indiana Stars automatically will leave the CAF Confederation Cup and will not continue the rest of their group stages game. Also, there is a FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup to be hosted in Uruguay. The draw was just held last week, where Ghana were placed in the same group with Uruguay, Finland, and then New Zealand. If it takes effect, the Black Maidens team, despite their preparations, will not be there. And recently, the Black Princesses, their program came out, which the ministry outlined that they've approved for the team to be in Singapore to play some friendly games as well as invitational tournament, and then we'll proceed to Spain to continue preparations for their tournament to be hosted in France. That's the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup. If indeed it takes effect, the girls, whether they travel or not, they will not be at the tournament. And then we also have the the Women's Africa Cup of Nations, that's the ALCON, to be hosted here in Ghana in November. If it takes effect, that will also not happen.
CAF must find a different host.
CAF must look for a different host to, you know, take care of that competition. There is also the bit about the Black Stars in the African Nations Cup qualifiers, which is supposed to start in September. Already it started with our first game against Ethiopia, but by virtue of the expansion after the CAF committee meeting last year, that we are going to have 26 teams. It means we have to now look at how we'll go through with the qualifiers. It means the Black Stars cannot participate in that as well, plus the WAFU competition. So what it means is that all FIFA-related activities and then CAF activities, we are off, and obviously our league will also be affected as well.
Right, so there on your screens, just for emphasis, Ghana won't be participating in the Under-20 Women's World Cup in France, Under-17 Women's World Cup in Uruguay. The Black Stars qualifiers will be affected, Under-20 WAFU also, and then Indiana Stars participation in the CAF Confederations Cup if the Ghana Football Association is dissolved. That's your sport. We'll, of course, expand the football-related issues later at 10:30 p.m. on The Football Show. My name is Hans Mensando.